All right, so now that I've done my settings and my easy onboarding, it's time to get to work. So I'm going to go back to my home page here just for a moment. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a metadata scenario. And your scenario and usage will be different depending upon what you're doing and what companies you want to work with or you're trying to expand relationships into. But I'm just going to start here, and we're going to use Pfizer as an example. So what do we do? So you've got this white search box at the top up here. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and I'm going to start typing in Pfizer. Okay, so the scenario is I want to get into Pfizer. Okay, I want to get some relationships started. I want to start a sales process, whatever it is you want to do. But the first thing you do is you type the company name in here, and you will then see Pfizer pops up in the menu options below. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and click on Pfizer there, and it's going to take me to their company page on Sales Navigator. Looks a lot different than the company page you'd see in Free LinkedIn. It's got a lot more insights and data that we'll walk through now. But the first thing that you want to do is click this Save as Account button on the right-hand side right here. You want to go ahead and do that because now you're subscribing to all things Pfizer inside of LinkedIn, and we also capture news that is contained outside of the LinkedIn ecosystem. So when you went back and think about my homepage, I had all that content there. How you start building up your own, I'll call Wall Street Journal for your own work world, is by saving accounts and then saving leads. Leads are people inside of those accounts. So we've already found Pfizer, and we've saved it as an account. Next thing I want to do is just walk you through what these three boxes up here mean. Pretty important. So the first thing is lead recommendations. These folks that are being served up here, they're coming to me based upon algorithmic output that has two factors. One, the settings. So the settings that you just did earlier that we walked through, right? It needs to look at that to start. That's important. And then secondly, it looks at my activity on Sales Navigator and the types of companies and people that I've saved and interacted with. So it gets smarter and smarter, uses predictive analytics as we go through, similar to shopping online, right? It kind of gets to know the products you want and similar people and similar products and things of that nature. So that's my lead recommendations here. The second one is how am I connected to Pfizer? Well, there are over 1,000 people at Pfizer that I'm at least one person away from. So I can go ahead and click this See How You're Connected tab here, and it's going to actually extrapolate even more and show me all of the people that I'm they're second degree connections. So what that means is that I've got a shared connection with them. So Brian, for example, right? I've got Aura, right, who I could reach out to and get an introduction into Brian through Aura. These are people that are in my personal network. So there's Jeanette, right, from Metadata, and come down Jim Smith. I've got, let's see, so on and so forth. Scott Crouch, client at IMG College. So there's a lot of folks here that I can get introductions into. Now, granted, sometimes the people in your network aren't as strong as others, but it's a really nice way to get in with somebody as opposed to cold calling, white papers, emails. All those things are still good and valid and need to get done, but this is a much stronger way to do this, and you can really get in much faster as well. So from here, one of the things I want to point out is when you look at the left-hand side over here as I scroll down, you'll see a lot of different options and filters. My best advice for you on this is that none of them are really complicated. You just have to look at them. Okay, so you'll see, for example, industry and company size. Those are defaults. These are all defaults on the left. We're in Metadata right now, so you don't need to hone in on that anymore, but function could be interesting. All right, so let's say I want to look at business development people that I have one person away from, and then from there I say, okay, I'm going to hold off on title for a second, but I'm really interested in C-level. So let's see here. I've got 19 folks at Pfizer that I could get introduced to that are in sales and they're C-level, right? So as I go through this, I continue to kind of hone in and look. Atit works at LinkedIn. So I'm going to go back to, just want you to understand the concept there of what that is. I'm going to go back to the account page and understand we went through lead recommendations. Now we're going through how you're connected. And then the third one is team link connections. So this is going to be really powerful for Metadata. So when you see team link connections, what that means is somebody that works with you at Medidata, whether you're connected to them, whether you know them, whether in your office or another country, they have some type of connectivity to a company. All right, so I'm going to click the See More Team Link Connections here, and I'm going to give you an example of what we mean. So here's Kuram Hamid, right? And I can see intro via Team Link. There are 3 people here that work at LinkedIn who have some type of connective tissue to Kuram. So I'm going to go ahead and click his profile, and I'll show you what that means. All right. So first I can see Ali Matar. He's the head of LinkedIn South Europe, Middle East, and North Africa in our Talent Solutions group. I don't know Ali at all, but I could certainly drop him a note. He used to work with Kuram at P&G, so maybe he knows him or remembers him or can either give me an introduction or allow me to use his name when I reach out here. Here's the second person, Tom Pepper. They're connected on LinkedIn. Tom is Director of Marketing Solutions in the UK for us, and Jake Thomas is also on our marketing team, Middle East, North Africa. So I have 3 people whose name, and I did not know before I started this demo, 3 people that work at LinkedIn who can potentially get me in the door and get me a warm introduction here. So at Medidata, we've already seen it. We saw it on day 1 where there's going to be a lot of connectivity that would otherwise go unnoticed and unseen. So with Team Link, you're able to see that, right? So just make sure that you look for that Team Link icon there, and I guarantee you're going to see some good stuff. So I'm going to go back to that home page again, click back a couple times, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the entire employee pool of Pfizer. So there's more than 85,000 people at Pfizer. By the way, just on a side note, if I scroll down, I'll see all the news that Pfizer posts, right, and or if they were mentioned in the news. So this came from outside of LinkedIn right here. All right, but if I want to focus in only on what they're doing, come here and I can read all these things. And as I start to save leads here, people that I want to work with, then their updates and their news will populate this page as well. All right, so I'm going to click this View All. So we've got 85,000 people view all right here. And from here, I've got, literally everybody at the company who's on LinkedIn. And so I could do some different searches here. I could do, again, we looked at function, seniority, things of that nature. So think about, for yourself in your current role, what you might be looking for, right? When you go through this exercise for yourself, I'm going to just use clinical operations and just kind of do a search for that, and I'm going to do it within the title area here. So this is current title. So anyone that has clinical operations in their title will appear here. All right, so let's see what we've got. We've got 173 people, makes sense. So they all have the words, or the phrase rather, clinical operations in their title, so that's great. And then from here, let's say I wanted to hone in on, again, relationship. I can see how many of those folks are second-degree connections. So I've got Kathy, Ekaterina, and Denise, and I can see here that these folks are I'm one step away, one person away from having an introduction into them. So that's always exciting to see. And in that example, I know all 3 of those folks pretty well, and I would have no problem asking them for a referral, right? So I'm just going to go back out of that, though, but I wanted to point that out. Now, you'll notice here, View All Filters, okay? When you do that, you will click it, and you'll see you'll have all the options, right, of all the advanced filters. And this is really the secret sauce of what we're doing here with Sales Navigator. You can combine searches, you can do a lot of different things, and we will get into another training and go through each one of these in detail, but for now, I think it's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So in other words, I've got Pfizer, I've got clinical operations, these are second-degree connections, and if I wanted to see, okay, of these, did anyone go to Rutgers, I could do that, right? Now I'll just click Rutgers University, and I've got 2. So you can combine a lot of these things here, right, and you can decide how you want to attack the company in terms of getting in front of these folks. Again, today is all about just understanding the concept. So we went into Pfizer, we went into the pool of 85,000 people, and we started to hone in on those folks as well, okay? what I want to do now is I'm actually going to get rid of this Rutgers piece. I'm going to go back to the search results. There's 173 people here. And a few things I'm going to do. I'm going to go to, I want some real senior folks, so I'm going to go with CXO, and I'm going to go, I'm just going to go VP. You could go director, you could do whatever you wanted to do here. All right, but for these folks, let's say these are the 5 people that I deem real important. I'm going to save them as a lead. So I'm going to save Chris Yardley as a lead, all right? And I'm going to save Liz Rogers as a lead. So anytime you see a person that is interesting to you or could be important to you in your pursuit of a business relationship, you want to save them as a lead. Okay. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to go back to the account page here and look at those lead suggestions, lead recommendations, and I'm going to save a couple of these as well. Now, obviously, you want to put thought into this when you're doing this. I'm just clicking buttons for a demo right now, but you would think to yourself, whether or not they really matter. Okay, I'm going to save them as a lead here. So what I've done is I have gone ahead and I've saved Pfizer as an account, and I've saved 5 leads. So just a quick note on that. So you don't want to save one person, i.e. one lead per account, because it's never just one person that's responsible for a buying journey. It's always a committee, especially in the space that you're playing in right now. So we, typically would say 5 people, arguably more than that, maybe 10, 15. It's up to you to figure that out. But whatever your average buying group looks like, however many people it is, just try and stick to that, and I think that's a good discipline to have. So we've saved one account, we've saved 5 people, right, by using a variety of filters and lead recommendations. So I would say for you, go ahead and try and save 5 to 10 accounts with 5 leads at least per, and if you can get through that, then what you've done is you're really starting to build up your own homepage here. And the next thing you're going to see is you're going to start to see trigger events, job changes, important news articles, people that get promoted, really interesting things that are going to allow you to engage in intelligent conversation and hopefully move the needle along on a sales process that you're either currently in or help you start one. So that's it for this training. Again, just to recap what we did, you've already got your settings done, right? And based on your settings, when we looked at Pfizer, we were able to pull that up here with this box, right? We clicked on the company name, and you're going to do that for companies that you care about. We saved it as an account. We looked at lead recommendations, how I was connected, some team link connections. We saw the news and other information down here. We ended up saving 5 leads, and that's good. So once you do that, you get started with 5 to 10 accounts of your own with 5 leads per. That's a great start.